Back here on Locked On NHL Game Night, alongside Tyler Feldman. I'm Cam Stewart, reminding you, get involved in the comments section. Wish Tyler a happy birthday.
Yeah, come on. Wish me a happy birthday.
We'd love to see that. We also want to hear who your biggest surprises are, good and bad, because we'll go over good and bad in the Stanley Cup Final. Like, subscribe, find us on YouTube, of course, and wherever you find your podcasts as well. But Tyler, it has been an extremely entertaining first two games of the series. Game 3, entertaining for a different way in a blowout victory. And some of the guys we expected to show up have not shown up. We talked about the big storylines before the final, the top 5 players before the final. And yet it's some other guys. It's been Brad Marchand. It's been Sam Bennett. But maybe the biggest positive surprise of this entire series has been Nate Schmidt. Where did Nate Schmidt come from? He got an assist taken away from him somehow between games 3 and 4, but he still is tied for the series lead in points for the Panthers with 4. Only Connor McDavid has more points than Nate Schmidt. Tyler, where did this guy come from?
Holy Schmidt.
Let that one breathe for a second. Let that one marinate over the audience.
It's too easy. It's too easy. Come on.
It's like blowing out the candles, man. Easy.
What Nate Schmidt is doing is one of the biggest reasons why you can't beat hockey and you really can't beat the Stanley Cup playoffs, because you have guys emerge that have done a great job all season. But now under the bright lights, you get into a rhythm. And we're seeing that from Nate Schmidt, where he's not only producing offensively, he's getting involved, helping out big time on the man advantage and taking advantage of what he brings to the table. He has been so much fun to watch and showcases Florida's depth, because Florida's depth is a big reason why they're up 2-1 right now in this series. It's been fun to watch him play. Certainly wasn't expecting a guy like him to be one of the guys so far through 3 games, but that's why you love the Stanley Cup Final. That's why you love playoff hockey, for moments like these where you allow guys to match the moment and even elevate above the moment.
Typically, you can't have the new guy come in and steal the show. But that's exactly what Nate Schmidt's done. The guy turns 34 next month. A former expansion draft guy, was left unprotected. The only other time he played in the final was with Vegas when they made it in year 1, 2018. He is playing, Tyler, on a 1-year, $800,000 deal right now and has 4 assists in the Stanley Cup Final.
Money.
What a story.
Money.
He has been. One more contract for him. He's
going to get paid.
You can get a little nice 2-3 year deal out of that.
Yes.
For a guy who's just been bouncing around, journeyman, former Minnesota Golden Gopher. A guy on the other side of this, surprising in the other direction for the Florida Panthers, has been Sasha Barkov. And I know we're going to get some Panthers fans jumping down our throat, because let me say this, and I know you'll agree, Tyler. Sasha Barkov's been still Sasha Barkov defensively. And he has been a huge part of that spine down the middle for the Panthers, has done a great job for the most part on the McDavids and the Dreisaitl's of this Oilers team. But what makes Sasha Barkov so great and one of the elite players in this league is he does it at both ends. Going into this, he had 17 points in 16 games going into the final. He has a goose egg so far in the Stanley Cup Final, 0 points, a -4 rating, which again, plus minus can be a little deceptive, because I think Barkov has played well in the defensive end. So Paul Maurice joked after game 3 when asked about the 0 points for Barkov. He said, "We're trading him." It's part of the Paul Maurice comedy special on the press conferences. But here the Panthers sit at a 2-1 series lead without a point from Sasha Barkov yet. Is that something that needs to get corrected for them to win their second straight Stanley Cup?
If I'm Florida, I'm not too concerned, because I still have seen great hockey out of Barkov in these first 3 games. Sometimes you just don't get the production on the stat sheet, and that's okay. His physicality has led to some great goals for the Panthers.
Yeah, we talked about that one in game 3. He doesn't get an assist for, but he forces a turnover deep in the zone and kind of pushes the puck along. I guess doesn't get an assist for that. But yes, it's a good point.
Exactly. So sometimes in hockey, and this would happen to me when I played growing up,
I'm sure.
You're playing great. You're doing everything right. You're just not seeing the points. But there's 5 guys on the ice typically. So, and there's only 2 guys who can get assists and 1 guy who can score. But if you're doing your job correctly, the points will come. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see Barkov bounce back in a big way in game 4, and if I'm the Oilers, I'm a little scared that Barkov hasn't been producing offensively, because when he starts to produce offensively, which very well could happen in game 4, then that could be what tilts Florida's favor even closer to winning their second straight Stanley Cup. So Maurice joking that they're trading him, hilarious. I'm looking forward to his stand-up special on what will be HBO Max in the coming months, because it was Max, it was HBO, and then it was HBO Max, then it was Max, and now HBO Max. I can't keep up. I just can't. A lot of changes, but what
the streaming provider formerly known as Max.
But what we don't have to worry about in the change department is Sasha Barkov. He's a stable force for these Panthers. I'm not too concerned, and I'm not too surprised one way or the other that he's at a -4 rating right now. He still has 17 points through those 19 playoff games. So all is okay with Sasha Barkov, okay?
And by the way, if you're one of those Oilers fans who are worried that Barkov has not shown up yet, well, I got some bad news for you, because neither is Matthew Tkachuk. 2 assists and a +1, but only 2 assists so far through 3 games of the Stanley Cup Final. One of them was just that little push-ahead pass that was really a 2-on-0 that became a breakaway. We listed him each as our number 2 best player in this series and the best player for the Florida Panthers. Obviously, he is playing with some sort of injury, but so was Leon Draisaitl last year. It's not a time where you're making excuses. And Matthew Tkachuk, I'm sure, is not making excuses either. He hasn't woken up yet to this point. But looking at the Edmonton side of things, the surprise, and not in a good way, we hailed this whole postseason their depth guys. Yep. It wasn't just McDavid and Draisaitl. And you look down this list, Mattias Ekholm, who came back in the conference final, 2 points so far in the final. Evander Kane, 1 point in the final. John Klingberg, who was a real unsung hero those first 3 rounds, -4 through 3 games of the Stanley Cup Final. And I thought the best under-the-radar guy for Edmonton this whole playoffs, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 0 points. Just as many as Sasha Barkov, but not in a good way. 0 points and a -2. Where has the depth gone?
Every name that we've listed, every single name that you've said, that I've said here in this second segment of this episode, no one has been as disappointing as Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Yeah. Because coming into this Stanley Cup Final, he had such a huge performance in the Western Conference Final. He was such a big reason why they're in this Stanley Cup Final for the second straight year. His disappearance through the first 3 games, for me, is the biggest disappointment. If the Oilers want to win game 4 and make this a series, he needs to step up. He absolutely needs to step up, because him having 0 points through 3 games, unacceptable. He's got to match the moment. If Nate Schmidt can match the moment, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins most certainly can match the moment. So match the moment. Yeah. Dig deep and figure it out. Want it. How badly do you want it? Because Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, the auxiliary guys around Draisaitl and around McDavid, put Evander Kane in that same conversation. They've got to produce as well. Yeah. It's got to be more than just those 2 guys, and it starts with some of those second-tier stars on the Oilers.
And that's a good point at the end there, because there's not a lot of second-tier stars, really, when you think about it. It's McDavid and Draisaitl, and then the next biggest group is Corey Perry, Evander Kane, Adam Henrique, Sperry Kapanen, Trent Frederick, like a lot of also-rans and never was, has-beens and never wases. And in the middle, there's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who's a legit middle 6, very impactful player, and was in this postseason. He was kind of that bridge. He took a lot of the attention off McDavid and Draisaitl in the power play. He was playing so well, has not shown up at all in this Stanley Cup Final. And the same again for Evander Kane and John Klingberg and Adam Henrique and all these guys that were carrying some of the weight on the way to the Cup Final have not done that so far. The Oilers are going to need those guys to get back in this series and hopefully for them get revenge on the Florida Panthers and win the Stanley Cup for the first time since 1990.